The human fleet jumped into the outer dark, where galaxies looked like distant stars and the void stretched empty and cold. Intelligence said the Varick Queen Mind waited here, surrounded by her children. The hive consciousness that commanded billions of organic ships. Kill her and the swarm would fall. Admiral Lauren Hayes stood on the bridge of the Valiant as the fleet emerged from wormhole space. Sensors immediately lit up with contacts. Thousands of Varick vessels surrounded them. More contacts appeared every second as the hive responded to the intrusion. Fleet status, Lauren ordered. Her tactical officer reported. 2,800 ships present and accounted for. All systems operational. Enemy contacts estimated at 15,000 and growing. Outnumbered 5 to 1. The odds were terrible. Lauren had known they would be. Captain Ryan Fletcher's voice came through communication channels. Horizon Squadron ready. We are right behind you, Admiral. Commander Eric Stone commanded the stealth frigate Ghost, already moving ahead of the main fleet. Ghost Squadron in position. We will clear a path. Lauren took a breath. This was it. Everything led to this moment. She opened fleet-wide communications. All ships, this is Hayes. You know the mission. Fight through to the Queen Mind. Do not stop for wounded. Do not stop for damaged ships. Forward momentum is everything. If we hesitate, we die. If we falter, the galaxy dies. So we do not hesitate. We do not falter. Humanity advances, always. The fleet charged forward. The Varick responded instantly. Massive organic vessels moved to intercept. Bioplasma fire erupted across space. Tentacles reached out to grab human ships. The hive mind knew what the humans were trying to do. It would defend the Queen Mind with everything. The Ghost and her sister stealth ships vanished from sensors, using advanced cloaking to slip through the Varick lines. They planted quantum mines along the enemy formation. When the mines detonated, they created gaps in the Varick defense. The main fleet pushed through those gaps, firing constantly. The Valiant led the charge. Her shields absorbed massive damage. Her weapons tore through Varick hulls. Around her, human dreadnoughts formed a spearhead, their combined firepower opening a corridor deeper into enemy territory. But the cost was immediate. Ships died by the dozens. The carrier Destiny exploded when 3 Varick vessels converged on it. The dreadnought Thunder vanished into a Varick mouth consumed whole. Fighter pilots flew suicide runs, ramming their small craft into vital Varick systems. Ryan Fletcher watched his tactical display fill with red marks. Each mark was a destroyed human ship. Thousands of lives. But they were advancing, slowly, painfully buying each meter with blood. Horizon Squadron, focus fire on that cluster, Ryan ordered. Clear the path for the Valiant. His ships obeyed. Concentrated fire hammered the Varick formation. Ships broke apart under the assault. The path opened. Behind the military fleet, alien vessels fought alongside humans. The few remaining Vrexian warships, their pride replaced with desperate determination. Kelthran destroyers commanded by officers who had learned from human tactics. Even small civilian ships, armed with whatever weapons they could carry, joined the fight. The galaxy had united, but it might be too late. On a Kelthran destroyer, Ambassador Threx coordinated fire with a human frigate. His crew worked smoothly with their human counterparts now. Months of fighting together had built trust and understanding. When a Varick vessel targeted the frigate, Threx's ship intercepted, taking the hit meant for their ally. The destroyer survived, but barely. Ben Carter, serving as Threx's tactical advisor, watched the battle develop. The Queen Mind is adapting our assault pattern. She is reinforcing weak points before we can exploit them. She is learning in real time. Can we counter it? Not fast enough. We need to overwhelm her processing capacity. Make her deal with too many threats at once, Threx understood. We need a sacrifice play. A distraction. Ben nodded grimly. Yes, and it will cost everything. Meanwhile, Commander Eric Stone piloted the Ghost deep into enemy territory. His small stealth squadron had one job: find the Queen Mind's exact location. Sensors struggled to penetrate the mass of Varick vessels, but Stone was the best pilot in the human fleet. He wove between enemy ships, staying invisible, searching. Then he found it. At the center of the swarm, a vessel unlike any other, massive beyond comprehension. Organic matter stretched for hundreds of kilometers. Bioluminescence pulsed across its surface in complex patterns. The Queen Mind, the heart of the hive. Ghost to Valiant. Target acquired. Transmitting coordinates now. Lauren received the data. The Queen Mind was 50 kilometers deeper into the swarm. 50 kilometers of concentrated Varick vessels. They would never make it. Not all of them. Maybe none of them. She made a decision. All ships execute Phoenix Protocol. Phoenix Protocol. The final desperate tactic. Every damaged ship, every vessel too hurt to continue, would overload their reactors and ram the enemy. Become bombs. Clear the path with their own destruction. Across the fleet, captains acknowledged the order. Some cried. Some prayed. All obeyed. The first wave of damaged ships accelerated toward the Varric lines. Their crews evacuated to escape pods when possible. Many stayed aboard, choosing to guide their ships to the very end. Reactors reached critical mass. Explosions erupted like new stars being born. The Varric line broke. A gap opened. The Valiant pushed through, leading what remained of the fleet. They were close now. The Queen Mind loomed on sensors like a dark planet, but the cost kept mounting. More ships died. More lives lost. The fleet that had started at 3,000 vessels was down to 800. Then 600. Then 400. Ryan Fletcher watched the numbers fall. The Horizon had taken critical damage. Life support was failing. Engines were damaged, but they were still fighting. "Sir, we are losing structural integrity," his first officer reported. "We need to fall back." Ryan looked at the tactical display. They were so close. So close to ending this. Negative. "All power to engines. We push forward." "Sir, the ship cannot take much more." "Then we make it count while we still can." The Horizon accelerated, even as parts of her hull began tearing apart. Ryan's crew stayed at their stations, knowing they were riding a dying ship. But they were human. They did not quit. Admiral Lauren Hayes watched the Horizon status on her display. She knew what Ryan was doing. "Ryan, pull back." "That is an order." Ryan's voice came through calm and steady. "Sorry, Admiral. Communications are breaking up. I cannot hear you properly." Lauren closed her eyes for a moment. She had known Ryan for 15 years. He was a good officer. "A good friend." "Understood, Captain." "Give them hell." "Always do, ma'am. Always do." The Horizon reached the inner defense perimeter around the Queen Mind. Varric vessels swarmed it from all directions. The carrier fought with everything left. Weapons fired until the barrels melted. Shields held until the generators exploded. The crew evacuated in the final moments, but Ryan stayed on the bridge. This is Captain Ryan Fletcher of the carrier Horizon. To anyone listening, remember why we fight. Not for glory. Not for victory. For the people behind us. For the futures we protect. For the children who will grow up in a galaxy we saved. That is worth any price. That is worth everything. He activated the reactor overload manually. The Horizon accelerated one final time, directly toward the Queen Mind. Varric vessels tried to intercept, but they were too slow. The Horizon crashed into the massive organic vessel and detonated. The explosion tore a massive wound in the Queen Mind. Biomatter scattered across space. The hive consciousness screamed, a psychic wail that every living being felt. The Varric swarm faltered, their coordination disrupted. Lauren seized the moment. "All ships, full assault! Hit her while she is wounded!" The remaining fleet, now down to 200 ships, converged on the Queen Mind. Every weapon fired. Every missile launched. Years of preparation, months of fighting, millions of lives, all focused on this one target. Dr. Amy Chen activated the last resonance array. She had modified it one final time, increasing its power tenfold. But the increased power meant it needed more operators. 100 volunteers connected to the array, knowing none would survive. The frequency hit the Queen Mind like a psychic bomb. Her consciousness fragmented, unable to maintain the quantum connection to her swarm. Individual Varric vessels lost coordination. They drifted, confused, as the hive mind that had guided them for eons collapsed. Human and alien ships pressed the attack. The Queen Mind thrashed, her massive form convulsing. But she was dying. The coordination she provided dissolved. Without her, the Varric were just animals. Dangerous, but no longer the unstoppable force they had been. The Valiant delivered the final blow. Lauren Hayes personally targeted the main weapon systems. "Fire everything." Every gun on the dreadnought fired simultaneously. The concentrated firepower punched through the Queen Mind's core. The massive vessel shuddered, then began breaking apart. Pieces of organic matter drifted into space, lifeless. The Queen Mind was dead. Across the galaxy, the Varric swarm lost cohesion. Without the central consciousness, individual vessels became confused and directionless. Some attacked anything nearby. Others fled into deep space. The organized invasion collapsed into chaos. The remaining human and alien fleet regrouped around the Valiant. Of the 3,000 ships, Jake Morrison stood in the center of the Galactic Council chamber. The room was enormous, bigger than any stadium he had ever seen back on Earth. Above him, hundreds of alien species watched from their floating platforms. Some looked like giant insects. Others were made of light or crystal. A few didn't even have bodies that made sense to human eyes. Jake wore his best suit, the one with the Earth insignia on the chest. He had practiced his speech for weeks. His job was simple: convince the Council that human colonies needed better protection from pirates. It should have been easy. Pirates were attacking human ships every month now. They stole cargo, kidnapped people, and sometimes killed entire crews just for fun. But the Council didn't care. "Ambassador Morrison," said Thorax, the Krell representative. His voice sounded like grinding rocks. His body was made of some kind of living crystal that shifted colors when he talked. "Your species has filed complaint number 4072 about these pirate incidents. We have reviewed your request. The answer is no." Jake felt his jaw tighten. He forced himself to stay calm. "Counselor Thorax, with respect, 15 human ships have been attacked this year alone. We've lost over 300 citizens. We're asking for basic protection or permission to defend ourselves properly." A sound like breaking glass filled the chamber. It took Jake a moment to realize that Counselor Vex was laughing. Vex belonged to the Tellurian Empire, one of the oldest and most powerful species in the galaxy. He looked like a 10-foot-tall mantis made of blue metal. "Defend yourselves?" Vex's translator made his voice sound amused and condescending. "Dear humans, you barely have a space fleet. Your weapons are primitive. Your ships are slow. You are a prey species pretending to be hunters. Accept your place in the galactic order. File your reports. Let the proper authorities handle security." Jake wanted to say something. He wanted to explain that humans weren't prey. He wanted to tell them about Earth's history, about how humans had climbed to the top of their planet's food chain. But orders were orders. Earth's government had been very clear. Play nice, don't make waves. Let the aliens underestimate you. So Jake nodded and returned to his seat. Commander Lisa Hayes watched the whole thing from the observation deck of the Valiant, Earth's diplomatic vessel. She stood with her arms crossed, her short brown hair pulled back tight. Her uniform was crisp and clean, but her expression was angry. "They're laughing at us," Gallauer said, her second-in-command, a young officer named Pete Collins. "They actually think we're weak." "They do," Lisa agreed. "And we've worked very hard to make them think that." Pete looked confused. "But why? We have ships. Real warships. Why are we hiding them?" Lisa turned to look at him. "Because Earth Command is smart. We're new here. We don't understand galactic politics yet. We don't know who our real enemies are. So we smile and nod and let everyone think we're harmless. Meanwhile, we learn, we watch, we prepare. For what? For the day someone pushes too far." That day came 72 hours later. The distress signal reached the Valiant at Oro 300 hours. Lisa was awake instantly, rolling out of her bunk and pulling on her uniform as she ran to the bridge. The signal was automated, the kind that only activated during catastrophic emergencies. "Report," she snapped as she entered the command center. Lieutenant Kate Chen looked up from her console. Her face was pale. "Ma'am, it's the New Hope, the colony ship that left Earth 6 months ago." Lisa's blood went cold. The New Hope was carrying 15,000 people, families, children. They were headed to establish a new colony in the Gamma sector, a trip that should have been completely safe. What happened? They were attacked. "The ship's been seized. We're picking up a ransom demand now." The main screen flickered to life. A creature that looked like a cross between a lizard and a wolf filled the display. Its scales were dark green, almost black. Its eyes were yellow and cruel. This was a Vrax, one of the pirate species that controlled most of the illegal trade in this part of the galaxy. "Humans," the Vrax leader hissed. "We have your colony ship. We have 15,000 of your kind. You will pay 5 million credits in standard currency. You will deliver it to coordinates we provide. You have 48 hours. If you do not pay, we will start killing your people. 100 per hour until you comply." The transmission ended. The bridge was silent. Every officer stared at the blank screen. Lisa could feel her heart pounding. She had served in Earth's military for 15 years. She had seen combat, had made hard decisions, had lost people under her command. But this was different. This wasn't soldiers. This was civilians, families, kids. "Get me Earth Command," she said quietly. "Right now." The response came back in less than 5 minutes. Lisa read the message 3 times to make sure she understood it correctly. Then she read it out loud to her crew. "To all Earth vessels in Council space, Authorization Omega is now active. The New Hope situation is Priority Alpha. All military assets are cleared for full deployment. Rules of engagement: recover all hostages by any means necessary. Hostile forces are to be eliminated with extreme prejudice. No survivors. Repeat, no survivors among hostile forces. Earth will not negotiate with terrorists. Earth will not abandon its people. Show them what we are." Pete looks shocked. "Ma'am, that's a direct kill order. The Council will go crazy. They have rules about this kind of thing." "The Council can file a complaint," Lisa said coldly. She turned to Kate. "Get me Admiral Cross on the Relentless. Tell him it's time." While Kate worked, Lisa activated her personal comm unit and connected to Jake Morrison's quarters. The ambassador appeared on her screen, already dressed despite the early hour. "You saw the message," Lisa said. "It wasn't a question." "I did. I'm heading to the Council chamber now. They're going to demand that Earth let them handle this through proper diplomatic channels." "And what are you going to tell them?" Jake smiled. It wasn't a friendly smile. It was the smile of someone who had been holding back for a long time and was finally allowed to stop pretending. "I'm going to tell them the truth. I'm going to tell them that they had 3 years to understand what humanity really is. They laughed at us. They dismissed us. They let pirates prey on our people because they thought we were weak. Now they're going to learn their mistake. Jake, they'll try to stop us. They have rules, laws. They'll say we're being too aggressive. Let them try," Jake said. "We followed their rules. We played by their system. And our people died because of it, no more. The Council is about to witness something they've never seen before. They're about to see what happens when you threaten a human's family." The transmission ended. Lisa turned back to her crew. 12 ships were moving into position across the sector. Not cargo vessels or diplomatic ships. Real warships. Vessels that Earth had been building in secret for the past 2 years. Ships designed for one purpose: to hunt. "Set course for Sector 419, Lisa ordered. "Maximum speed. Silent running. No active sensors. We're ghosts until we reach the target." "What about the Council?" Pete asked. Lisa didn't hesitate. "They can watch and learn. It's time the galaxy understood something important about humans. We're not prey. We never were. We're the species that hunted everything on our planet into submission. We're pursuit predators, and when you threaten our families, we don't file reports or wait for permission." She leaned forward in her command chair, her eyes hard. "We hunt, and we don't stop until the job is done." The Council chamber filled within the hour. Representatives from over 200 species crowded onto their platforms, all talking at once. News of the New Hope's capture had spread fast. Everyone wanted to know what the humans would do. Jake Morrison walked into the center of the chamber alone. He carried no notes, no datapad, no prepared speech. He simply stood there and waited for silence. Thorax spoke first. "Ambassador Morrison, we have heard about your colony ship. The Council extends its sympathies. We will begin negotiations with the Vracs immediately. Our peacekeeping forces will—" "No," Jake said. The word echoed in the sudden silence. "No." Thorax's crystal body flashed red. "Ambassador, you do not understand. The Council has protocols for these situations. We have negotiators who specialize in hostage situations. We have peacekeeping forces trained in recovery operations. You must allow us to handle this properly." "We gave you 3 years to handle things properly," Jake said. His voice was calm but cold. 3 years of attacks. 3 years of human citizens being killed or kidnapped. 3 years of us filing reports and following your protocols. And what happened? Nothing. You told us to accept our losses. You told us violence was beneath civilized species. You told us to wait for justice. "This is different," said Counselor Vex. The Tellurian's voice had lost some of its earlier amusement. "This is 15,000 lives at stake. Rash action could get them all killed." "You're right. It is different. This time they took our families. Our children." Jake looked around. The chamber, meeting the eyes of aliens who had dismissed humanity for years. "Earth Command has given me a message to deliver to this Council. From this moment forward, Human space is under human protection. Any vessel entering our territory without permission will be considered hostile. Any attack on human citizens will be met with immediate and overwhelming force. The chamber erupted. Aliens shouted in dozens of languages. Translators struggled to keep up with the chaos. You cannot do this. Thorax's voice cut through the noise. The Council governs all space operations. You do not have the authority or the military capability to enforce such claims. Watch us, Jake said simply. All human vessels have been ordered to withdraw from Council patrols. All human cooperation with Council security forces is suspended. Sector 419 is now a restricted zone. Any ship that enters that sector in the next 72 hours will be fired upon without warning. This is madness. Vex stood up, his metal body trembling with anger. You have no warships, you have no fleet. What will you fight with? Cargo haulers and survey vessels? Jake smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. You made a lot of assumptions about us. You assumed we were weak. You assumed we were peaceful by nature. You assumed we would always follow your rules. You were wrong about all of it. He turned and walked toward the exit. As he reached the door, he stopped and looked back. One more thing. The Vraks have 48 hours to release every hostage unharmed. If they do, we will let them surrender. If they don't, or if they harm even one of our people, we will erase them from existence. Every ship, every base, every member of their organization. We will hunt them across every system in this galaxy until there is nothing left but memories and warnings. The Council will not allow this, Thorax said. The Council can try to stop us, Jake replied, but I suggest you stay out of our way, because right now you're either helping us save our people, or you're part of the problem. Choose carefully. He left the chamber. Behind him, chaos erupted again. 12 light-years away, Captain Greg Palmer stood on the bridge of the UCSS Relentless. The ship was running dark, all non-essential systems powered down. To any scanner, they would look like a dead hulk drifting through space. But the Relentless was very much alive. Admiral on deck, someone called out. Admiral Danny Cross walked onto the bridge. He was a short man with gray hair and a weathered face. He had served in Earth's Navy for 30 years before transferring to the Space Command. He had seen combat in 3 different wars. He did not believe in wasting words. Status report, he said. Captain Palmer pulled up a holographic display. All 12 ships are in position. We've located the Vraks base in the Kethrin Nebula. Long-range scans confirm the New Hope is docked there. Life signs on the colony ship appear stable. The Vraks have approximately 200 ships in the area and maybe 3,000 fighters, and they still don't know we're here? No, sir. We've been running silent for 18 hours. Their sensors can't pick us up through the nebula's interference. Danny studied the tactical display. The Vraks base was built into a massive asteroid. It had been their main headquarters for over 50 years. The nebula's radiation made it almost impossible to find unless you knew exactly where to look. The pirates had grown comfortable here, confident in their safety. That confidence would kill them. Weapon status? Danny asked. Lieutenant Kate Chen looked up from her station. She was young, barely 25, but she was the best weapons officer in the fleet. All systems green, Admiral. Railguns charged and ready. Missile pods loaded. EMP array standing by. We can fire on your order. Boarding teams? Ready and waiting. Commander Santos has 300 Marines prepared to breach. Another 500 are standing by on the other ships. Danny nodded slowly. He pulled up a timer on his personal display. 23 hours until the Vraks deadline. But Earth wasn't going to wait. Earth didn't negotiate with terrorists. Listen up, Danny said. His voice carried across the bridge. Every officer stopped what they were doing and turned to face him. In 15 minutes, we're going to attack. We're not going in to negotiate. We're not going in to capture prisoners. We're going in to get our people back and to make sure the Vraks never threaten anyone ever again. He paused, letting his words sink in. Some of you have never seen real combat. Some of you are wondering if this is right, if we should wait for the Council, if there's a better way. Let me make this clear. There is no better way. The Vraks are murderers. They've killed thousands across dozens of species. The Council has known about them for decades and done nothing. Why? Because the Council species evolved on gentle worlds. They don't understand predators. They think everything can be solved with talk and time and careful negotiation. He looked around the bridge, meeting each officer's eyes. But we're not like them. We're human. We evolved on a planet that tried to kill us every single day. We survived ice ages and droughts and predators that could tear us apart with their bare claws. We survived because we learned to be better hunters than anything else on our world. We learned to track prey for days without rest. We learned to work together, to plan, to never give up no matter how long it took. Kate was nodding. So were several other officers. The aliens think we're weak because we're small. They think we're prey because we didn't evolve with claws or venom or armor. They're wrong. We're apex predators. We're pursuit hunters. And when someone threatens our pack, our family, our children, we don't file reports or wait for permission. Danny's voice grew harder. We hunt. And we kill. And we make damn sure that everyone else learns the lesson. You don't mess with humans. He turned back to the tactical display. All ships, this is Admiral Cross. Attack in 10 minutes. Primary targets are their command center and communication arrays. Secondary targets are weapons platforms and hangar bays. Boarding teams will secure the New Hope first, then sweep the station. Rules of engagement are simple. Any Varax holding a weapon is hostile. Protect the hostages, complete the mission. Captain Palmer leaned in. Admiral, what about Varax who try to surrender? Danny's expression didn't change. Earth Command was very clear. No survivors among hostile forces. These pirates had years to change their ways. They chose to keep killing. They chose to take our families. Now they live with that choice. Or rather, they don't. The bridge fell silent. Some officers looked uncomfortable, but no one objected. They had all seen the casualty reports. They had all read the names of the dead. 300 humans killed by pirates in just 3 years. Men, women, and children who had done nothing wrong except be in the wrong place at the wrong time. Kate checked her console. Admiral, we're receiving a tight beam transmission from the Valiant. Commander Hayes reports the Council is trying to send peacekeeping forces to Sector 419. How long until they arrive? 74 hours. Danny almost smiled. By the time they get here, there won't be anything left to keep peace with. Lieutenant Chen, prepare to fire on my mark. All ships, begin your approach. Stay in formation. Silent running until we're in position. Then we light them up. The Relentless began to move through the darkness of space. Behind it, 11 other human warships followed in perfect formation. They looked like ordinary cargo vessels from the outside, but inside they carried weapons that would shock the galaxy. Weapons that humans had been building and testing in secret for years. Weapons designed not for show or intimidation, but for one simple purpose: to kill efficiently and without mercy. The Vrax base grew larger on the tactical display. Danny could see their ships moving in lazy patrols. He could see fighters drifting in and out of hangar bays. He could see the lights of the station, warm and welcoming to the pirates who called it home. In 5 minutes, those lights would go dark, and the Vrax would learn what it meant to be hunted by humanity. The first shot came without warning. One moment, the Vrax patrol ship was drifting lazily near the edge of the nebula. The next moment, a railgun round traveling at a significant fraction of light speed punched through its hull. The ship didn't explode. It simply came apart, torn into pieces by the kinetic energy of the impact. Target eliminated, Kate reported. Her voice was steady. Adjusting fire to next target. Danny watched as his fleet emerged from the nebula like wolves from a forest. The Vrax had seconds to react, and they wasted those seconds in confusion. Their sensors were screaming warnings, but the readings made no sense. 12 ships that weren't supposed to exist were suddenly in their space, and they were all firing. A Vrax command ship tried to bring its weapons online. 3 missile pods from the Relentless launched in response. The missiles were simple kinetic penetrators, no explosives needed. At the speeds they traveled, mass was enough. The command ship's shields held for exactly 2 seconds before the missiles punched through. The ship went dark. Enemy communications are trying to coordinate a response, Kate said. They're confused. They don't understand what's happening. Keep them confused, Danny ordered. Target their communication arrays. I want them blind and deaf. More railgun fire lanced out. 3 communication towers on the asteroid base exploded in silent bursts of debris. The Vrax fleet was starting to respond now, turning their ships to face the threat. But they were slow, used to fighting traitors and refugees who ran away instead of fighting back. The human fleet didn't run, it advanced. Captain Palmer watched the tactical display with growing satisfaction. Admiral, they're forming up into a defensive formation. Looks like they're trying to protect the base. They're thinking like prey, Danny said. They're trying to defend what they have instead of attacking. Greg, take 4 ships and flank them from the port side. I want them surrounded. Yes, sir. The battle was barely 5 minutes old and already 20 Virax ships were disabled or destroyed. The pirates outnumbered the humans 10-1, but numbers didn't matter. The Vrax had better shields and stronger hulls, but humans had planned for that. Every shot was precise, targeting weak points and critical systems. No wasted ammunition. No random fire. Just cold, calculated efficiency. A group of Vrax fighters swarmed toward the Relentless, their pilots probably thinking they could overwhelm the human ship with numbers. Kate didn't even blink. She activated the EMP arrays. Invisible waves of electromagnetic energy washed over the fighters. Their systems died instantly. The fighters drifted helplessly in space, their pilots trapped in dead cockpits. Boarding teams, you are clear to launch, Danny said into his comm unit. Commander Santos, the New Hope is your priority. Get our people out. 3 ships away, Commander Amy Santos sat in the lead dropship with her Marines. There were 50 of them crammed into the small vessel, all wearing combat armor and carrying weapons that the Council would definitely not approve of. Amy had served in Earth's Marine Corps for 12 years. She had done 3 tours in the African conflicts and 2 in the Middle East before joining Space Command. She knew urban combat. She knew building clearance. She knew how to fight in close quarters. This was going to be close quarters. Listen up, she said to her team. Her voice was amplified through their helmet speakers. Our mission is simple. We dock with the New Hope, we clear the ship, we secure the hostages. There are approximately 60 Vrax on that vessel. They have been torturing and threatening 15,000 civilians, including over 3,000 children. She checked her rifle, making sure the magazine was seated properly. Intel says the Vrax have wired the ship with explosives. They're threatening to blow it if we don't pay the ransom. Here's what we're going to do. We're going in hard and fast. First team secures the bridge. Second team heads to engineering and disables any explosives. Third team starts evacuating civilians. We have 15 minutes to clear that ship before Vrax reinforcements arrive from the lower levels of the base. What if they try to detonate the explosives? Asked Sergeant Kyle Brooks. He was new to space combat but had extensive experience in bomb disposal. Then you better move fast, Sergeant. The Vrax are bullies and pirates, but they're not stupid. They won't blow the ship while they're still on it. We go in, we hit them hard, they'll either fight or run. Either way, we get our people out. The dropship shook as it launched from the main vessel. Through the viewports, Amy could see the battle raging around them. Railgun fire lit up the darkness. Missiles streaked between ships. The Vrax base was burning in places, atmosphere venting from breached sections. But the New Hope was intact. The Vrax needed it intact for their ransom. 30 seconds to contact, the pilot announced. Amy stood up. Her Marines did the same, checking weapons and equipment one final time. She had led dozens of assaults in her career, but this one felt different. This wasn't soldiers going after soldiers. This was rescuers going after kidnappers. This was personal. The dropship slammed into the New Hope's docking port. Magnetic clamps engaged with a heavy thunk. Kyle moved forward with a cutting torch, preparing to breach the airlock. Wait, Amy said. She tried the door control instead. The airlock opened. The Vrax hadn't even locked it. They were that confident in their safety. Big mistake. Amy's team poured into the ship. The interior was dark, emergency lights providing the only illumination. She could hear sounds echoing through the corridors, voices crying, people talking, children whimpering. The hostages were still alive. A Vrax appeared at the end of the corridor, raising some kind of energy weapon. Kyle shot him 3 times before the pirate could fire. The Vrax dropped. Amy's team moved forward without pause, flowing around corners and through doorways like water. They found the first group of hostages in what looked like a cargo bay. 300 people, mostly families huddled together in the darkness. Several Vrax guards stood watch over them. The guards turned when they heard footsteps, but it was too late. Amy's team took them down in seconds. "It's okay," Amy said to the terrified civilians. "We're Earth military. We're here to get you out. Stay calm, stay quiet, and follow our instructions." A woman holding a small child started crying. "They said no one was coming. They said Earth abandoned us." "Earth never abandons its people," Amy said firmly. "Never. Now let's get you somewhere safe." She left 3 Marines to escort the group to the evacuation point and pushed forward with the rest of her team. More Vraks appeared, but they were disorganized, confused. They had expected cargo haulers in negotiations, not assault teams in combat. Kyle and his bomb squad found the explosives in engineering, crude but effective charges wired to the power core. He studied them for maybe 30 seconds, then simply cut the power feeds. The charges went dead. "That was easy," he muttered. "They're pirates, not demolition experts," Amy replied. "They probably hired someone to set these up. Keep moving." Her team cleared deck by deck, room by room. They moved like they had trained for years because they had. Every breach was textbook. Every corner was cleared properly. Every hostile was neutralized efficiently. The Vraks fought back, but they were used to victims who were afraid. The humans weren't afraid. The humans were angry. Amy reached the bridge and found the pirate captain. He was a large Vrax, bigger than the others, with scars covering his scales. He was holding a human child as a shield, a blade pressed to the girl's throat. "Stay back," he snarled. "I'll kill her." "I'll kill all of them." Amy didn't hesitate. She raised her pistol and shot him through his left eye, the specific eye that Vrax used for depth perception. The pirate's head snapped back. He dropped the child. Amy caught the girl before she hit the floor. "You're safe now," Amy said softly. "We've got you." The girl just cried and held on to Amy's armor. 12 minutes after the assault began, the New Hope was secure. Every hostile was down. Every explosive was disabled. The evacuation of civilians had already begun, with transport ships ferrying them to safe vessels. "Commander Santos to Admiral Cross," Amy reported. "Primary objective complete. All hostages are safe. 64 hostile casualties. 0 friendly casualties. Beginning secondary sweep now." "Excellent work, Commander. The base is almost secure. Vrak ships are attempting to flee, but we're hunting them down." "Continue your mission." Amy turned to her team. "You heard the Admiral. The Vraks wanted to hide in this rock. Let's dig them out." The Marines moved deeper into the asteroid base. The Vraks had lived here for 50 years, building a maze of tunnels and chambers. But humans had been fighting in tunnels and caves for thousands of years. This was familiar ground. They found a command center 3 levels down. Vraks leaders were frantically trying to organize some kind of defense or evacuation. Kyle tossed in a flashbang grenade. The explosion was deafening in the confined space. Amy's team poured in while the pirates were still blind and deaf. It was over in seconds. They cleared level after level. Sometimes the Vraks fought. Sometimes they tried to surrender. Amy's orders were clear. No survivors among hostile forces. These weren't soldiers fighting for their country. These were pirates who had killed and tortured for profit. They had made their choice when they seized the New Hope. Now they lived with the consequences, or rather, they didn't live at all. Back in space, the battle was winding down. The Vraks fleet was broken. Ships drifted dead or dying. The few vessels that tried to escape found themselves hunted by human ships that seemed. The emergency broadcast reached every corner of the galaxy within hours. The Vraks had not been completely destroyed. Their leadership had escaped before the assault on the main base. 3 ships carrying the Syndicate's most important members had slipped away during the chaos, taking with them 12 human hostages as insurance. The Vraks leaders sent a message to Earth and the Council. Stop hunting them, or the hostages would die slowly and painfully. They included a video to prove they were serious. It showed the hostages bound and terrified. A Vraks enforcer beat one of them while the others watched. The message was clear. This is what happens when you fight back. They had badly misjudged humanity. Admiral Danny Cross received the message aboard the Relentless. He watched it once, his expression unchanging. Then he forwarded it to Earth Command and gathered his senior officers. "They think this will make us stop," Danny said quietly. "They think fear will work on us the way it works on Council species. They're wrong." "Captain Palmer, how long to track their ships?" Greg Palmer pulled up a star chart. They fled toward the Corthan Wastes. It's a region filled with radiation storms and gravitational anomalies. Sensors don't work well there. They probably think they can hide. They're wrong about that too, said Lieutenant Jake Richardson. He was the intelligence officer, a thin man with sharp eyes who had spent years analyzing galactic communication networks. The Vraks have been operating for decades. They have hideouts, supply caches, contacts throughout this sector. I've been mapping their network since we first encountered them 3 years ago. I know where they run when they're scared. Danny nodded. Then we hunt. All ships prepare for extended pursuit operations. We're going after them. Admiral, Greg said carefully, the Council is demanding that we stand down. They're sending peacekeeping forces. They want us to let them handle the negotiations. The Council can want whatever it likes. These pirates took our people, tortured them, threatened them. Now they think they can run and hide. We're going to teach them something important about humans. We don't give up. Ever. When we start hunting something, we don't stop until it's dead. The human fleet moved out within the hour. 12 ships all running on minimal power, tracking their prey across the most dangerous region of space that humans had ever entered. The Korthan Wastes lived up to their name. Radiation levels were high enough to kill anyone without proper shielding. Gravitational anomalies appeared without warning, crushing ships that got too close. Entire planets had been torn apart by the forces at work here, but humans had tracked prey through worse. They had hunted across deserts where the heat could kill in minutes. They had hunted through Arctic wastes where exposed skin froze instantly. They had hunted through jungles so dense that you couldn't see 5 feet ahead. Compared to Earth's environments, space was just one more hunting ground. Jake Richardson sat in the intelligence center studying data streams. He was looking at patterns, fuel consumption rates, communication intercepts, supply depot inventories. The Vraks thought they were being careful, using encrypted channels and coded messages, but Jake had been reading their traffic for years. He knew their codes. He knew their habits. Got them, he said suddenly. They stopped at a supply depot in the Helion system. They're refueling and taking on provisions. They'll be there for at least 6 hours. Distance? Danny asked. 22 hours at maximum speed. Too long. They'll be gone before we arrive. Where will they go next? Jake studied his charts. Based on their current heading and fuel capacity, they have 3 options. The mining colony at Vexar Prime, the abandoned station at Duluth 7, or the independent trading post called Haven's Rest. Which one would you choose if you were them? Jake thought for a moment. Haven's Rest. It's run by smugglers and criminals. No law, no council presence, and the operators don't ask questions if you pay well. The Vraks have used it before. Then that's where we go. Plot a course. Maximum speed. The Relentless and its escort vessels pushed their engines hard, racing to cut off the Vraks before they could reach safety. The crews worked in shifts, no one getting more than 4 hours of sleep. They ate at their stations. They maintained their equipment during brief rest periods. They were tired, but they didn't slow down, because humans were persistence hunters. That's how their ancestors had survived. They would track prey for hours, sometimes days, never stopping, never giving up. The prey might be faster, might be stronger, but eventually it would collapse from exhaustion. Then the humans would close in for the kill. The Vraks reached Haven's Rest 36 hours after escaping the main base. They docked at the station and immediately started negotiating with the local warlords. They offered money, weapons, anything for protection. The warlords were considering the offer when the human fleet arrived. Haven's Rest was a massive station built from the remains of 3 different ships welded together. It orbited a dead planet in a system that most people avoided. The station's reputation was simple. If you could pay, you could stay. No questions, no judgments, no cooperation with any government or law enforcement. Danny Cross didn't care about the station's reputation. He opened a communication channel and his message was brief. Haven's Rest Station Control. This is Admiral Cross of the Earth Military. We are pursuing 3 Virax vessels for crimes against humanity. Turn them over immediately or be considered accomplices. You have 10 minutes to comply. The response came back almost instantly. It was a grizzled alien who looked like a bear crossed with a lizard. His voice was rough from years of breathing recycled air. Earthship, this is Station Master Krell. We don't take sides in disputes. The Vraks paid for docking rights. That's all we care about. You want them, you negotiate. You don't threaten us. 9 minutes, Danny replied and closed the channel. Greg Palmer looked uncertain. Admiral, we can't attack a civilian station. There must be 10,000 people on that thing. Most of them are just traders and travelers. We won't attack the station, Danny said. We'll just make sure Krell understands the situation. Kate, target their power generation systems. I want firing solutions for every reactor, every solar panel, every battery backup they have. Kate worked quickly. Targeting complete, sir. We can disable their entire power grid in under 3 minutes. Good. Send the targeting data to Krell. Make sure he sees exactly what we're aiming at. The station master's face appeared on screen again. His confident expression had changed to something closer to fear. You're insane. You'll kill everyone on this station. Wrong, I'll turn off the lights. Your life support will fail in about 6 hours. Plenty of time to evacuate everyone. Of course, evacuating 10,000 people will be expensive and chaotic. Ships will have to make multiple trips. Some people won't get out in time. All because you're protecting 3 pirates who tortured children. Danny leaned forward. Or you could just turn them over. Your choice. You have 8 minutes left. Krell's image disappeared. Danny waited. He knew how criminals thought. They were opportunistic, always looking for the best deal. Protecting the Vracs was only worth it if the profit outweighed the cost. And the cost was about to get very high. 6 minutes later, the 3 Virac ships were forcibly undocked from the station. Krell's voice came through the comm system, angry but resigned. There. You have your pirates. Now leave us alone. One more thing, Danny said. Those 12 hostages. Where are they? Still on the middle ship. The Viracs were keeping them as leverage. Smart of you to tell me. If you hadn't, I would have destroyed all 3 ships just to be sure. Kate, target the ship's engines. I want them crippled but intact. The railguns fired. 3 precise shots, each one hitting an engine core. The Vrac ships went dark, drifting helplessly in space. Launch boarding teams, Danny ordered. Get our people out, then destroy the ships. Commander Amy Santos led the assault personally. The Vrac ships were smaller than the base had been, easier to clear. Her Marines moved through the corridors, finding the hostages in a cargo hold. The 12 humans were alive but badly beaten. Several needed immediate medical attention. The Vrac's crew tried to fight, but they were trapped on a dead ship with nowhere to run. Amy's team cleared them out deck by deck, room by room. When it was over, every hostage was safe and every pirate was dead. Admiral Cross, this is Santos. All hostages recovered. All hostiles eliminated. Understood. Evacuate and return to the Relentless. Danny watched as the Marine dropships returned to his ship. Then he gave the order that everyone knew was coming. Destroy the Vrax vessels. Total destruction. I don't want pieces left large enough to identify. Missiles streaked through space. The 3 ships exploded, torn apart by the kinetic impacts. Debris scattered across the orbital path, glowing hot from the violence of their destruction. Jake Richardson reviewed his intelligence data. Admiral, we've eliminated most of the Vrac syndicate, but there's still a handful of senior members unaccounted for. The leader Krath and maybe 6 of his top enforcers. They weren't at the main base or on these ships. Where are they? Unknown. But I've been monitoring their communication networks. They're scared. They're running. They're making